welcome back. Today we're going to be learning the very basics of crochet. This will take you through just the simple things and get you started on your crochet journey. So when you start out, you should pick a simple yarn to work with. This is just something we found at a local craft store. It's a medium weight yarn. This is all information you can find on the label of the yarn, and it says what recommended hook size to use, and that's what we're going to be using today. So this is a medium worsted weight size 4 yarn. It's acrylic base. That's also simple for beginners, and then we're going to be using a 5mm hook. So this is the first way you can hold a crochet hook. This is called the knife hold, and you hold it between your first finger and your thumb along the little crease it has right there, like a knife. The second way you hold your crochet hook is called the pencil grip. And again, you hold it between your first finger and your thumb, but this time the hook comes above your fingers, so like you're holding a pencil. So the first step of starting any crochet project is a slip knot. So to do a basic slip knot, you just wrap 2 fingers and pull the tail end of the yarn through that loop you just made and pull up a loop in between. This is how I do it. Of course, you can look up a different video, but this is an easy way, and you get a nice little slip knot like that. Perfect. So to start off, you place the slip knot that you just made on your hook, and this is how you hold the yarn. I hold it by wrapping it around my pinky and then pulling it up between my middle finger and my first finger. I hold the tail end of the yarn in between my first finger and my thumb of my left hand. And then we start making the chain, which is how you start the crochet project. So you wrap from the back. That's a little jingle you can remember by wrap from the back. You always do that. And you pull that loop through the slip knot that's on your hook. And throughout this, you want to keep the tension loose. By tension, I mean those little holes you can see in between the yarn and the hook. So you want to keep that nice and loose so it's easy to pull your working yarn through the yarn on the hook. So now you'll just want to continue this process until you have 11 total chains on your working yarn. So each of these little bumps on the top of the working yarn that you see is a stitch. So it's a chain stitch, or some people like to call these V's. You can see the V shape also, but you just want to continue until you have 11 of those. To start the first row of single crochets, you have to count 2 from the hook and insert your hook into the top loop of that chain. So then from there, we can start the next row and work in the opposite direction that we previously worked in. So inserting the hook into the second top loop from the hook, and you always wrap from the back, as I said. So wrap from the back and pull what you wrapped through the first loop on the hook. So after that, you wrap from the back again and then pull it through all 2 loops on the hook. And this makes your first single crochet. And then from here, you just continue going and making these single crochets until you get to the end of the row. So now we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're not going to count in this extra piece at the end. Remember, that's where we turned and started our new row. So continuing on to make the next row, and from every row here on out, we have to chain 1 before we start. So again, you wrap from the back and just pull through. That is a chain 1. And at this point, to start the next row, you have to flip your work around the other way. And now we're going to be inserting the hook into the back of the stitches of the previous row. So you insert your hook through that layer right there, and on the top here we can see the V's, as we mentioned before with the chains. You can see the V's on this layer. So you insert your hook into the back here through both of those on the previous V, and you do a single crochet as we did before. Insert the hook like so and wrap from the back, pull through 1 and then pull through 2, and that is a single crochet, and you just continue that until you get to the end of the row again. So now you just repeat this process a total of 8 more times so that you get 10 rows up. So 10 rows across, 10 rows up, and that will give you a nice little square. So now to count your square, you just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 is the one you're working on. So we just finish off this row with 2 more single crochets, and at the end we're going to do something special to give it a little bit more security and keep your work from falling out. So in this same spot that you did the last stitch, we're going to do a slip stitch. So you enter into it, wrap from the back, keep that loop on the hook, and then take that same loop and pull it through the last loop on the hook. So with this loop, we just pull it up until we get a larger loop there, and then from here we can just cut it. So we'll grab our scissors and we'll just cut this loop straight off from the hook. It doesn't need to be too super long, just a little bit of length so we can weave it in later. So to weave in these ends, we're just going to be using a yarn needle or a darning needle. You can find this in your local craft store too. So we just thread the needle like so. Start weaving your yarn down the side of the piece along the edge of the yarn, in and out of the loops, just trying to make it look as hidden as possible. We don't really want to see this part, but after this, after you get a couple rows down, whatever you feel comfortable with, you can just snip the yarn, and that is it. And you just repeat those exact same steps along the other edge side with that bit of string that you have left. And after you snip this end right here, you will have completed your first crochet project, and it looks great. You did an amazing job.